Hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast.
Yeah.
And we are sorry there's going to be maybe some slight hammering
They're
in the
not,
background.
I guarantee they're not going to be able to hear it.
Okay, maybe you can't hear it, and that would be great.
I don't think the mics are picking it up. So.
That would be great. Okay, wonderful. Well, if you can't hear it, good. We'll pretend like there's not something going on.
Mm-hmm.
But this week is Thanksgiving week, and we thought we would chat with you a little bit about what it is like as an American to celebrate Thanksgiving in a different country. Specifically, we are in the United Kingdom. And before we get started, we wanted to recognize, we celebrate Thanksgiving as our family, as something that we celebrate being thankful for things. We do not celebrate it as the quote unquote original way that some people celebrate Thanksgiving, of this being this supposed happy dinner between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. So just to put that out there, we celebrate it as a time to be thankful for what has happened in the year, what is to come, for each other, for our family, for friends, and stuff like that. And so we do a meal and that kind of thing. But obviously, it's not a thing here.
It's vastly different here. It's very strange to be in a place and live in a place that cultural elements, the different breaks, all that kind of stuff is vastly different.
So the kids are things that are
so different
are just things to know, which maybe you would assume, but maybe not. The kids are in school regularly, so there's no Thursday and Friday off. There
still is Black Friday though.
That's Black Friday,
funny.
which it's funny because a lot of British friends in particular, Europeans, are like, we've just adopted that from the Americans. That wasn't a thing, and now it's a thing here. So yes, there is still Black Friday sales and things like that.
So weird.
Actually, a lot of them have started already. But anyways, and so there's no school off, which is always kind of strange, because especially when you're seeing people on other things that you're like, oh, everyone has off school and that kind of stuff. So that is part of it. Obviously, it's sometimes we have found ways to watch the Macy Day Thanksgiving parade and stuff, but we always forget about it because it's on at a very strange time.
It's usually in the evening here. So usually we're in probably meal process and all that kind of stuff with others if we're doing something on actual Thanksgiving.
So in the years, we've lived here for 6 years, so this will be our 6th or 7th. This might be our 7th Thanksgiving.
It's our 7th.
Our 7th Thanksgiving that we'll have been here. And, we've had COVID in between there, so that obviously changed things a lot, just like it did for all of you, no matter where you were. But our first year that we were here, we hosted a Thanksgiving dinner, and there is a fascination about it. I will say, there is just kind of this
it's more centered around the fascination of the food.
Yeah, the food, but I think there's so many movies and stuff like that too that feature Thanksgiving, shows that feature Thanksgiving that just people watch here and stuff. And so I think there's a little bit of that too, of I've always been curious about Thanksgiving.
Or I really would love to go to a Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and so literally sometimes the first time you meet somebody, especially if it's close to that time, they're like, "Ooh, you have a Thanksgiving dinner?" It's almost like, "Would you please invite me?"
Yeah. Which is also an opportunity, cool. Definitely. So
that first year, how many people did we have?
It was too many to count. I mean, there were other Americans
that helped
and that came over when we moved here initially. So it was a kind of a joint effort, which was really fun to kind of show what Thanksgiving is to all of our new friends that we had just made.
And we had, I can't even account how many different cultures we had that were there. There was at least, and I say at least 60 people, and that probably not completely included the children. And so our house, people were sitting on the floor.
That wasn't all at one time though.
No, they did. There was a lot of rotating coming in.
I don't know. For Americans, it felt kind of like an open house.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we kind of said, you can come from this time to this time. We're not going to have a formal sit down time. That we'll have plenty of food. I think we cooked 3 pretty large turkeys, which was really hard. That is a massive difference here, no matter what year it has been, is ovens here are very small.
They're small.
So if you put a turkey in, first of all, you can't put a really large turkey in, an American-sized turkey. You would not fit in the oven. And if you're cooking the turkey, that's all you're cooking. You can't put anything else in with there. I remember in the States, cooking a turkey, and you'd have green bean casserole or something like that on the bottom, and that doesn't happen here. So the timing of things is really hard.
You have to plan it out. You have to plan it out.
You have to really plan it out. Cook a lot of stuff ahead of time and then try and warm it up in some manner or another. But somehow, because we had help with friends and stuff like that year, we had 3 turkeys. We had so much food, and people were so fascinated by the food. And we just told everyone, if you want drinks, like you're gonna have to bring your own. We'll take care of the rest. And the kids went upstairs. The kids with the adults were downstairs, like eating everywhere in our house. And it was really, really fun. Actually, it was exhausting, but it was very, very fun.
It was just it was just so cool to see. Like, again, all these different cultures, and people that we had just met and we're getting to know, and they're all in our house. We're all like, again, the idea of being thankful for, the things that we had during the year, and like these new friends, and like this new adventure, and like all this kind of stuff. And it was just so much fun. It was really, really fun.
Yeah. And then the following year we did 3 Thanksgivings, I think. We hosted another one, which was much smaller. We might have had like 20-something people. And then we had one with our neighbors that they had 5 boys. And we had a Thanksgiving with them. And then I think we went to something else. So we ended up having quite a few
Multiple.
then.
That has been kind of a narrative ever since.
Yeah, it's like we'll typically now have multiple ones because there are some Americans here that we're friends with, that we will do just their family and our family together, and we'll do Thanksgiving with them. We have kind of, since COVID, obviously COVID changed things a lot, where it was just our family, and then depending on, I think the following year there was like rules of how many people you could have in your house at the same time. So we just invited some friends over so that it was just another couple with our family. And so we've kind of made it smaller now.
We've done smaller gatherings, but multiple of them.
Exactly.
Basically
that's kind of what we do now. And I think the thing that is different, obviously, besides the fact that like it's not an actual holiday here, also is people, like we said, people are fascinated by it, but they're mostly fascinated by the food. And the reason they're fascinated by the food is there are things that you just don't do here in general.
It don't make sense.
So they make fun of the food, saying it's all beige foods. Like there's not, when you think about it, it's like turkey, mashed potatoes. I mean, sweet potatoes adds a little bit of color, but then we put white marshmallows on top of it.
Green bean casserole.
We put green bean casserole, has brown on top of it. And so again, casseroles aren't really a thing here.
Yeah.
So both of those things,
like
sweet
their
potato,
pies here.
Pies and stuff. Yeah. Sweet potato casserole or green bean casserole, they're like, what is that? You can't. So sweet potato, we don't like the thing with the mushrooms. That would be interesting.
The yam? Is it yams? No.
Well, it's sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes.
People call me yams too.
Yeah.
But with the marshmallows on top, I don't like that. That is way too sweet for me, and so that's not something we make. We do it with like pecans and a little bit of brown sugar on the top, and that kind of thing when we've had it.
But the marshmallows are different here. So like the first year, I think we did have American friends that tried to make.
It tasted weird.
The sweet potatoes with the marshmallows, and it tasted so different because the marshmallows were not the same.
Yeah.
So
basically in the States, they have a lot of other stuff added to them and a whole lot of sugar.
Yeah,
and here they're just different.
Yeah.
And so there's a fascination with the food. They eat turkey here more traditionally for Christmas. And so we don't do turkey for Christmas because we've just had it for Thanksgiving. You can thankfully usually find turkeys. That's usually not an issue. I haven't ordered mine
yet.
Not
during Christmas, though.
Not during Christmas. But during Thanksgiving, you can usually find turkeys. But there are other things you cannot find here. Well, when I say cannot, you can at an expense. So if if you're making green bean casserole, a key ingredient, right, is cream of mushroom soup. They don't have Campbell's soup here. They don't do that kind of stuff. We haven't had that kind unless we're at someone else's house, but in our house, because for whatever reason there's something in Campbell's soup that tears my stomach apart. And so I've always made homemade cream of mushroom soup to make our green bean casserole. And really it's just you and I that eat it. The kids don't really like it unless we pull the green beans out. Anything that has mushrooms in it, they do not touch. And so that's not a big deal to me because we've always had an alternative. But finding anything with pumpkin in it is really hard. I have noticed in recent years there has been more pumpkin.
It's getting better. It's getting easier to find.
Which is just funny because in the United States, it's pumpkin everything everywhere, like in stuff that I don't understand why there's pumpkin in everything. Yeah, exactly.
It is actually starting more and more
I
here
have
to be more
seen it more
present here,
recently,
which is
yeah.
funny. But
But
yeah.
you'd have to go to like more. You'd have to find there's some like American grocery stores which
Mm-hmm.
are expensive because it's stuff they've gotten from the States.
And we do have
Or Whole Foods,
yeah, Whole Foods
does
is
have
here.
it as well, like canned pumpkin and things like that. Now, of course, you could get a pumpkin and do all the stuff and make it on your own, but that's
True.
quite a process.
Yeah.
Again, mentioning the oven and all that. So there are things like that are harder to find, and so you just come up with ways around that, and that kind of thing. I'm trying to think of other things. Like canned cranberry sauce, I feel like that's a little bit harder to
Would
find.
you have biscuits
Oh yeah, that would definitely. So
That's
if
like
you
another
have
thing.
any kind of
or roll?
American biscuit or roll, those are really difficult to find as well. Cornbread, people
Yeah,
are like,
cornbread.
"What is that?"
They love it though. Once they have it,
They
they
love
love
it.
it.
But they don't understand it. Again,
Yeah.
showing you again why they think all the foods are the same color. Like cornbread, think of the color. Rolls,
Yeah.
think of the color.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And then they're fascinated by the desserts as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think of traditional like Thanksgiving desserts of like pumpkin pie, again, we're going to show the color scheme here.
Pumpkin pie, apple pie,
Apple pie,
pecan pie,
pecan pie, brown.
brown.
We make something different. My family has always done what's called a chocolate chip pie,
Oh, yeah.
which everyone thinks is way
They
too
love it,
sweet here.
though.
They love it, but they're like, that is so sweet.
I was also remembering too some of the stuff that we put out before
Oh, the starters.
the starters. That
So-
we come out, the snacky things.
The thing that has been a crowd favorite every year, and then that people ask for the recipe and they don't understand what's in it, is a cheese ball.
Yep.
I do not understand why. I guess it's just not a thing here. Cheese is such a thing here, so
Yeah,
that's.
cheese is a
But for
huge
whatever
thing
reason,
here.
the idea of a cheese ball with like cream cheese and whatever else you mix in with it, because there's 40 different varieties of it. When we put
so
it out
funny.
the first year, I think I had made like 3 of them, and no one was touching it, and I was like, I don't understand why no one's
They were
touching
confused
that.
on what to do with it.
They didn't know what to do. So
Yeah.
once I showed them, you take like a knife and you scoop it and you put it on the cracker and that kind of thing. And I think I had made some like crostini kind of like bread, like that kind of stuff. That they were like, they tried it and were like, what is this? And
Yeah.
then they were gone like that. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I even had any on my own that year.
Now the
because it was
expectation
gone.
is,
Whoever's
when
coming.
when can we have the cheese
When is
ball?
it appropriate
Like,
to have
when
a cheese
is
balls
it
now
time
what they
to have
ask?
it?
Like when can you have it? Is it appropriate for Christmas?
Yeah.
Can you make it for this? That kind of thing. And I keep saying like that is really, you can find cream. All those ingredients you can find here very easily, and that's not hard to make.
But man, they love their
for
cheese balls.
whatever reason, it is a like fascination of things because it's. I mean, you go year round. I feel like in the States, people have get-togethers
Yeah.
and someone makes a cheese
It's
ball.
like a thing to have at your house for like a barbecue or something all through summer.
Exactly.
Like it's just
to have it.
those like snacky things. Like I don't think that that's necessarily a huge thing here.
Well, they have their
It's just
starters.
like crisps or like potato chips is most of the time, like things like that.
I think it
and,
depends on what you're doing. Like,
That's
'cause
true.
it's like all the different things. Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, that's I
Fruit.
feel like Christmas and stuff.
Fruit,
It's
a lot of fruit,
starters. Yeah. So I mean, normally people have. Again, this would be something that is something we've noticed is different here. Excuse me. Is think of how many like I don't always go up for seconds, but a lot of people go up for seconds. And stuff, and like people hear one plate of that food, and they're like, "Oof, that is enough for me. I can't do anymore." And so again, we learned the first 2 probably we way overcooked, thinking we were dealing with Americans. We were dealing with more Europeans, and like some friends from different African countries and different places too. That portions
Yeah.
were way too big, so we had a lot of leftovers and had to be creative.
Well, that's
with the
okay though.
leftovers.
That is part of Thanksgiving is the
Having
leftovers, right?
There was no
So,
turkey leftover.
For
however,
us,
the
that was
turkey all
okay.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the turkey was all gone, but we had the other leftovers, which was good. So people are fascinated by it here. They want to be invited to a Thanksgiving dinner if they can somehow get there. Obviously, we live in a city that is very multicultural, so there are a lot of Americans. There are restaurants that host Thanksgiving dinners that you can go if you don't want to make a meal at home. Because again, that can be difficult depending on like what your
type of-
kitchen is
yeah,
like.
the kitchen
if you
size.
even have an oven, like some of those things, it can be really hard. And so a lot of people will you can order in a Thanksgiving dinner or you can go out to eat for a Thanksgiving dinner. A lot of people do that. There's nothing at school that is like Thanksgiving or anything like that. There's, I rarely see anything up in any store or anything like that
Well,
has
no,
any
because
reference to
it's
it.
already all Christmas here.
Yeah. I mean, I will say Whole Foods is the one exception. Like when you walk into Whole Foods right now, because I walked by the other day, I could see there was a whole section of like the pumpkin was all together, the
Yeah.
apple pies were together, that kind of stuff. But that's an American original store, and so that's why they have that stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing here is like November hits, it's all Christmas.
Yeah.
There's no like
After they don't wait till after Thanksgiving.
although to be fair, that probably in America it's all Christmas right now as well.
Probably
but,
is in like September.
But at the same time, like, you know, it's the only focus is Christmas. There's not an idea of Thanksgiving here, and so
yeah.
so it's very strange.
Yeah. So, and on that though, while it is all Christmas, it's very strange to put up your Christmas tree before December. So most people do a live.
Yeah,
Is that
a
how
lot
you
of-
would call it?
yeah.
A real
A
Christmas
real tree, not live because it's not
Yeah,
live.
well, that's what I mean. That's why I was like, that's not the right term. So we, in our family, although Pat would like to change this and put it much earlier,
Like a week earlier.
we put it up after Thanksgiving. And so,
Or actually the day after Thanksgiving.
yeah, usually the day after Thanksgiving is like our family's tradition of like when the tree goes up. And our neighbors and stuff are always like, your tree's up already? Because they normally would see it like as December 1st or that like weekend.
I mean, some people wait till the very
Yeah, some people
end.
literally wait till like Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. So the tradition here with when it comes to Christmas trees is like you wait closer to Christmas typically. Some of that maybe because, but people in the States put a real tree up after Thanksgiving. I know sometimes it doesn't survive till Christmas, but so that is another thing that's kind of funny. We have a fake tree because we decided to save money on not getting real tree all the time. You have thoughts about our fake tree, but whatever it works.
It's fine. It works. So.
So that is another funny thing that is usually tied in with Thanksgiving that our family does that is not quite something that people
Yeah,
do
I
here.
remember when people come into our house and like, oh, you already have stuff
Tree's up already. Even like December 5th, they're like, oh, your tree's up already. You've decorated early. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that is another funny thing about it.
But it's just, I think having, again, I think it's as well as like, you know, when we're meeting somebody from another culture and we learn about something new about, you know, maybe traditions or things like that they do. Like, I mean, I would say we're really intrigued and we would love to engage with that and learn about that.
Well, we
and
love
like,
being invited to
all that
things
kind of
like
stuff.
that.
And so I think I love the fact that we have something that we can share about our culture, and that, you know, again, obviously it centers around food and beige food, I guess. But you know, it is something fun to share. And again, the idea of hospitality and bringing people into our home and being able to share a meal with them, like that's a huge thing for us. Like we love doing that. And
I will say a lot of people do have a lot of questions about why do you celebrate Thanksgiving? So at least here, I know there's a lot more talk finally about that in the United States, but a lot of people are like, I don't understand why you celebrate this and what it's based off of. And so that's really good conversations too, of like, well, you know, and like having those conversations and stuff. Sometimes it feels like, yeah, some people outside of the United States understand American history better than Americans.
But you know, again, we just celebrated a thing here that's
it's an odd tradition.
you know, a tradition here that I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Why
There's
are
something
you
about
celebrating
Bonfire
it?
Night.
So it's like Guy Fawkes Night, and it's just a really unique, weird story that is now a celebration, and they like celebrate and have fireworks and all this kind of stuff.
But that's what's cool when you have
But
so many
again,
cultures coming together,
yeah.
because it's like I seriously think there's always some kind of holiday happening here, like fireworks be going off, and I'm like, well, what's the holiday right now? And sometimes the kids will know right away and that kind of stuff. And so that is something that is unique about living in London in particular, I think, is like when you have all these different cultures, all these different things are happening. And there's usually some kind of understanding from most people, but then it's great because most people aren't scared to ask for more. That is the one thing. I think sometimes it's hard to talk to people about other things, but like about when it comes to certain traditions, it's like, well, why do you celebrate that? Or why do you think that? Or that kind of thing. And so actually people aren't afraid to have that conversation, which I do like. So
really
yeah,
fun.
so that is what like people in the UK think of Thanksgiving. That's what it looks like to have Thanksgiving here. It's obviously not a thing.
No.
And so it's very
it's a
different.
normal day here.
It's a normal day. Sometimes we don't celebrate that evening because we'll have like things on, Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something. And I'm like, we're not having a fourth Thanksgiving meal. So that always does feel a little weird for us.
Yeah.
When we know our family is doing Thanksgiving in the States and things like that. But we always do end up having some kind of meal, usually multiple meals. We are sick of turkey probably by the end of the weekend.
No, you can't be sick of turkey and Thanksgiving food. Come on.
But
you've lived here too long.
We get our fill of beige food, basically.
Yeah. And my beige shirt that I'm wearing today.
Beige. It's like a reddish. If you're watching on YouTube, it's like a maroon color.
It's my Thanksgiving shirt, I think.
We should have put on funny things like that. Would have been funny. But yeah, we'd love, with Christmas coming up, we'd love to hear the questions you guys have. We have a couple of things that we're thinking about doing for the podcast during Christmas time, because you guys, our most popular podcasts are always about the differences between the U.S. and the U.K. and what
or just
things are like that.
Life things that we're learning about living in a different culture.
Yeah, exactly. And so please do let us know those questions that you have and everything, because we're here to answer. We're not experts, but we have lived here for 6-7 years now, and just, I guess, are experiencing it as we go. But we hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, however you celebrate and recognize the holiday. And we'll be doing that with a couple of meals this year, I think. So yeah. And thank you so much for listening. It helps our family so much if you subscribe to the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, that you subscribe and like and everything. It helps other people find us, and it helps us be able to just share fun stuff like this with more people. So take care, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.